I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg, and today we are reviewing Ink by Final Score. Now, Ink is going to be a competitive tile-laying game for 1 to 4 players where we are drafting out these different tiles that are all these different beautiful colored inks, and then trying to place them to hopefully put out as many little ink pot wells as possible onto our different areas.
Yeah, the general idea of the game is every single round you're going to be selecting a tile. You're going to be using a little rondelle over here, grabbing your little ink pot, moving it any number of spaces you want. The only problem is when you cross this line, bad things happen. Not terrible things, but slightly bad things. So you're going to start off trying to be mindful of the tiles that are closest to you that suit your goals. Speaking of your goals, you are going to want to prioritize your defined color. So for example, in my case, I prefer to get rid of my light blue and dark blue inks before my other colors because these are mandatory and these 12 can be any color I want. So I'm going to look at the board over here and immediately move over here, selecting this tile. These tiles are rotatable and flippable to whatever capacity you want. I'm going to flip it over there and place it down on my board like so. Now, what's going to happen is right now, because there's a 3 over here, and because this is 1, 2, 3 tiles big, I'm going to take my ink pot. I'm going to put one face down onto that. That is a locked ink pot over there. And then the other colors will get a face up ink pot. Again, it's coming from this board here because this is my color choice. If it was a different color, it would come from my wild ones. So you just have to prioritize your main color. And that's it. This spot over here is now filled. I've got rid of 2 of my ink pots out of my 24 ink pots. Meg, do you want to take a turn while I refill the bag? We'll just play a few turns because I think you'll see most of the mechanics by playing a few turns.
Okay.
Also, you get to see a new tile type with that little diagonal over there.
Yeah, so sure, let's take it.
Okay. So Meg's grabbing that. She's going to place it on her board, however, wherever she wants. And in her case, she does not get a full spot over there quite yet. And then we're going to put a new tile out, and I'll continue going. Now, again, I am trying to try to show you how everything works here, so I'm going to prioritize that over other things, because right now, none of the tiles have a number for these colors, unless I want to go all the way around to this 3, which is not going to help me, but you will see how that plays out shortly. So I think I'm just going to work my way towards a jump over here. So I'm going to go over here to this one, and this one will set me up nicely. If I flip that, it'll at least get those 2 going for me. From there, to your turn, Meg.
Now, alternatively, this is where the game shows, not to take back what Alex is doing, but Alex had quite a few choices here because if he had taken the doubles, he would have been able to place this out, having double colors going that way. But yet again, you could have also placed it like that.
Yep.
There's a lot. But something else that's very cool is, normally I would maybe be a little bit more conservative in drafting these tiles and not wanting to draft too much before the X, but just to show you guys something cool that I would be able to do, if I come around to this 3 and take this here, I'll be able to place it down, and then this is now a purple area of 3 purple, but something that unfortunate is going to happen is that I'm going to fill this spot here, and now because that's blocked off, this is only a 2 area of purple. So I will be able to place in the future and hopefully change that, but right now I'm not able to fulfill the other one because I already blocked off one of the tiles.
Yeah, ink tiles will unfortunately render the tile it's under as a non-tile, and that can even cut off sections. So if the ink spot is between other tile sections, it's going to stop you from being able to score those sections. We'll put a new tile over here, and then I'm going to show you what happens when you cross to over here. Now keep in mind, I could go to where Meg is. I'm not stopped over there, but I'll go over here and I'm going to draw a tile from the X bag. Now I am specifically going a little faster than I normally would because I am trying to show you different elements of how this works, but when you would cross the center, you land in the center, you pause, you draw a tile from the bag, and then you find that color and you have to put it down blocking those colors. So for example, I could place this here, which isn't the craziest, but I think I'm working towards those spots, or I could place it over here or any other configuration, but I think I'm leaning towards here or here, blocking off my board. I think I'm just going to do this spot over here. I'm going to use this for a larger count later. And then I continue going. This doesn't stop my turn. This is just a pause. And then from there, I can go anywhere else I want. And again, I am trying to work my way towards different things. None of the ones I want are coming out, unfortunately. Yeah. So I think I probably wish I had followed your move and taken this, but it's a little too late for that. I think I'm just going to go over here, take this, and then slot this down over here. So I'm going to place this down over here like so. And that will hopefully work us towards a move shortly. To your turn. I'm kind of trying to show you one more thing before we go into final notes and then endgame.
Yeah.
To you?
I wish I could show one more thing. But unfortunately, there's not great options for me. So I will have to draw one of these.
Okay.
And then I'll go there. Okay. Oh, no. Well, I guess technically I would not have had to choose
you don't have to choose. That's actually
important.
This,
because that's pretty terrible for me. So we'll place that there, and then that changes everything I would want, even though I want to be placing red. So I guess, honestly, I probably still would take that because 3 is really good to have 3 of them. And I am able to score down here, so I would be able to place for both of these. So we would do this.
I think I was over there.
We would do this here and this over here.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to jump around to over here just because I'm trying to show you some things over here. I'm going to go here, place this one out here, and that's going to put us to a 6, which is 1 shy of that 7. So we'll see how that plays out shortly. But for right now, we're going to draw a new tile, and it's your turn, Meg.
Well, I think I'm going to do the thing we've been trying to do, Alex, because I'm going to move here and take this tile and place this over here, I guess.
Perfect.
And that's going to be a group of 4. Now, you've seen us do groups of 3, which are a little bit easier to do, but you may have noticed this little chart over here. So if I do a group of 4, I get to activate the 4 ability as well. So for me, this is red, so I am going to get to take one of these, put it over here, and then another one of these and place it here, and activate our ability, which is place 1 colored square of your choice.
You can take any of these squares, putting it on top of any other tile.
Now, I'll take a purple because if you remember, I was in a little bit of a tough spot over here, but I'm now able to take this and put it down here and also complete my purple 3, meaning that I can do this as well.
And that's basically what's happening. You're going to continue this process until you run out of ink tiles. For your last move, any additional ink tiles you need will come from this pool of black ink tiles. Players will finish the round getting a chance to take their own last turns, and whoever ends with the most black ink tiles is going to be the winner of the game. That's basically the game. That is how you play ink. You are going to have a smorgasbord of different power abilities over here, because there are a stack, I have a little stack over here, of different powers. You're going to be choosing 4 of them, and then the rest are going to give you different ways to what are those powers. For example, just to go through the ones on the board, you saw place a color square already. Then there's move an ink bottle and remove an ink bottle. Now the ink bottles on numbers are locked, but the ones where you can see the exclamation mark, those can be moved or removed, helping you open up and free up spaces. Then we have remove up to 2 ink bottles from 2 different colored areas, which again gives you control to take things off your board just to refill them later. And then lastly, a mean one, each opponent draws a token from the X bag. And there's plenty of non-mean ones if you don't want to play that route. That's basically how you play ink, which means it's time to go into our thoughts, what we like, don't like, and all of that.
And Alex, I think you just said it, but did you say how the X's escalate as well?
I did not.
Oh, so the X tokens actually get scarier the more you draw as well. As the game progresses, they'll want to cover 2 spaces instead of 1.
Yeah, you're going to want to cover 2 spaces of a designated color, making it a little bit less flexible. You have a certain number, you have 3 per player in the bag. Once they run out, you jump to the double X's.
And I do want to say before we get into our thoughts on the game, this is also on BGA. So if you're interested and want to check it out, it is on BGA right now.
And with that, diving into what we like, Meg, what do you like about the game?
So I think that this one is very clear to tell exactly everything that you're trying to do. The rules are very straightforward. I really like the design of the tiles themselves. I think there are a decent amount of games where you're tiling and trying to match things where it can be like, for the sake of art or something, it's not as clear. I do really like that this is just a very clear puzzle of what you're trying to do. That way you can focus on the strategy of it, because I do think that this is one of those games where very quickly certain players can get ahead if they're focusing on what you need to do. Yeah. If you're placing out those colored tiles for the colors that are your goals, you're going to do well. But if you're just kind of making a beautiful, area and not going as quickly as other players, that could, really cost you the game. So I do really like that it is very clear to see. That way you can really focus on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, the game does allow for a lot of clever play. If you really are, like Mike said, if you're trying to think through what you're doing, think through your colors, think through how to set up your moves. Not just that, but even the order you're cascading numbers. Because sometimes you could have a 3, 4, 5 in the same area and score all of them, and sometimes scoring any of them is going to stop you from scoring the rest. So this game is very simple to actually teach and get people up and running. It's a very straightforward game. But when you actually start playing it, there's lots of layers to being able to get those cascading turns, to get a lot of things out of it. And that ability board over there, that's going to give you a lot of not just the cool things you can do in a game, but also the replayability. The fact that you have this game where you're trying to think through, how am I going to take advantage of the abilities in play, knowing there are always different abilities, different combinations of abilities. So it's one of those games, I always hesitate to use the simple to learn, lifetime to master, all that. I don't think it's that level, but I do think it is simple to learn, and I do think there's a lot more depth than it would be first seem at appearance. Besides that, production I mentioned as well. You mentioned the tiles. I love this little... Exactly. They're adorable. It's a nice little extra nice component on top of it. I like the ending with the black tiles as well. That kind of gives you a final push. Some of these games can have a little bit of an anticlimactic, like, oh, I got rid of my last ink bottle, game's over.
Right.
This one kind of has a, oh, you got that in the last turn? Let's see if I can get one last turn. Like, I have played this where, multiple times I've played this where multiple players had black ink bottles, and it did come down to who had the most of them. Not every time. Sometimes someone runs out of it, the other one doesn't. But multiple games I've played where it came down to counting those black ink bottles at the end, which is definitely nice. As far as things you don't like with the game, anything there?
So one of the things that it's almost I can see others not liking. Should I wait? Should I
No,
wait?
no. So we can skip this. So I'm the same way. I'm in the same boat. I don't have anything I don't like about this game. That doesn't mean it's a perfect game, but in terms of things I personally didn't enjoy, I think it's really doing a great job at what it's doing, and I enjoyed everything. I have one thing in what I can see others not liking, but you go first.
I will say it's what I can see others not liking, and I didn't like it sometimes. So it is something that, like,
Okay.
it doesn't change the overall game for me, but sometimes is these variable abilities. That sometimes there are ones that are just not doing what you might want. And I found myself not wanting to go for certain numbers because I didn't like some of the abilities. Like, there's one that's reserving a tile, and I just don't care about that because it takes your space anyway. So it's like, I don't even want to go for that number because, and then, like, those certain numbers come out and you're like, well, geez, if I had drafted a tile with a 6 instead of a 5, I could have a way better ability. I already have it set up, but no 6s came out. So I think that's the only part that's a little bit tricky is the special abilities, because some of them are very good and very, very useful, especially removing and moving ink bottles.
Yeah.
That when the other ones are the ones you're triggering, it can almost feel not as fun.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think reserving in a tile is the only one I found less satisfying so far, but I do agree. For me, the thing that doesn't bother me, but I can see it bothering others, especially in a game that does have strategy and a lot of strategic moves, is sometimes where tiles pop up and how good they are for your board is a little random. And so, like, my best tile might be, like, all the way across the board, and then meanwhile, someone else just pulls a tile out, replaces a new one, and you're like, that's perfect for me, and you take it, and then suddenly you have a perfect tile for your board. You will have those luck of the draw moments. I do think there's a lot of control players have to mitigate those, which is why it doesn't bother me. And over the course of the game, honestly, even getting the X's, it's not debilitating. You have to just compromise to figure out when is it worth it, when is it worth pushing versus not. But I certainly can see players getting frustrated if it seems like you're always getting the perfect tile next in play, and someone else isn't. I can see that being a frustrating experience. As far as final thoughts, Meg, where are you on this game?
So I enjoyed my play of this game, but I don't think it's one I would seek out on my own. So I did have a really, really fun time playing it, and I would always sit down to play this. I think that, again, because it's kind of this, like, abstract strategy and something you can really have a lot of, like, discussions over, so it's definitely a game that I think is good for, like, convention play and stuff like that you're, like, chit-chatting, having fun, doing your own little personal puzzle, because you can stay very locked into, like, your strategy that you're trying to do. So I did enjoy playing it a lot, but for myself, I don't think it was something that I would try to seek out. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I really like this game. I've had a lot of fun playing through this one. I like this kind of style. It's very reminiscent. We'll get to it in recommendations, I guess, but there's a lot of games that are doing something very similar to this, and I honestly like all of them. This one, I think, is my favorite of them, which could be Cult of the New. It's still early enough. Like, I played this a bunch of times, but, like, it's still new. I've only played it for the first time a week and a half ago. So it could be Cult of the New. I'm mindful of that. But I do think the main thing that distinguishes this one is the ability tiles. The fact that you have actual abilities on top of the core gameplay structure. Because the core gameplay structure, I do find rewarding as it is. Once you throw in the ink bottles and the abilities, I find there's a lot of replayability and nuance to this game. So for me, I'm coming in at a 4.5 out of 5. It's definitely a little on the lighter side. You do have to know what you're getting yourself into. But I'm having a lot of fun with what this one is doing, and I very much am seeking out repeat plays of this one.
And I will say there is a solo mode. I have not tried it out yet, but
Likewise.
there is a solo mode for this one.
As far as game recommendations, I mentioned there are a bunch of games that are doing the same things. I'll just list a few of them over there. I'm
going to recommend Nova Luna.
One of them is Nova Luna. Yeah. So there's Framework, Nova Luna, and Sagani, I think, that are all doing the same kind of different. Those are all from Louis Rosenberg. This is from a new art, from a different designer instead. So they feel samey, but they're definitely all different in different capacities. But that's going to be similar. And then also, if you want something on the art side of things, if you were compelled by this cover and were disappointed by the abstract nature of this game, you can instead check out Canvas. Canvas is there for you if you're here not for the theme, but if you wanted more art from this game, Canvas is a game that will give you mechanics, but also that, like, artsy vibes at the same time. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg.
Have a good one.
Bye.